Welcome to the maiden edition of the program Security Affairs. I am Austin Peacemaker. Security Affairs is a weekly program that highlights news about happening as it concerns security in the country, while also educating and alerting the general public on security issues. Today on this episode, we shall be looking at the war against insurgency, the role of the Nigerian Air Force. Our guest is Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesanya, the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force. Stay put while we go on a short break.
I am Major General John Enenche, Director Defense Information, Defense Headquarters. Keep watching Security Affairs on People's Television.
Welcome back. You are still watching Security Affairs with Austin Peacemaker. Today, as I said earlier, we shall be looking at the war against insurgency, the role of the Nigerian Air Force. And our guest is Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesanya, the Director of Public Relations and Information, Nigerian Air Force.
I am Air Commodore Olatokunbo Adesanya, the Director of Public Relations and Information at the Headquarters Nigerian Air Force, Abuja.
So far we are looking at what has been the role of the Nigerian Air Force in the Northeast insurgency.
The Nigerian Air Force has performed quite a number of roles in the current counterinsurgency operations in the Northeast. Of course, that's in liaison with the other sister services. Basically, you know that the Nigerian Air Force is a tactical air force, and it has its abilities in line with those expected of a tactical air force. One of those things that the Nigerian Air Force has done, which I consider as being key, is what we call the regular conduct of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions. And indeed, about 60% of the missions being conducted by the Nigerian Air Force in the Northeast are those related to intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions, otherwise known as ISR missions. These missions are conducted towards gathering required data in order to come up with intelligence on the Boko Haram insurgents. And sometimes this intelligence is passed on to our ground troops, that's the Nigerian Army, and where they utilize it as necessary. And sometimes the Nigerian Air Force uses this intelligence gathered. Sometimes, for example, we could have a situation where we have a boarding structure coming up belonging to the Boko Haram insurgents. So in this case, we quickly scramble some of our fighter aircraft will go about and then take out those structures. Sometimes it will be a mass gathering of the Boko Haram insurgents themselves, possibly in a position of trying to regrouping to attack some of our formations, and then of course our fighter aircraft also take them out. So taking out those structures will be what we call air interdiction. So the Air Force also carries out interdiction missions. Beyond this, the Nigerian Air Force also carries out what we call closed air support for our ground troops. Sometimes when they advance, we give them close air support. In addition to this, we have what we also call casualty evacuation or medical evacuation missions. And these are normally conducted where we have some of our personnel, either Army, Air Force, injured in battle, and then they are taken off. And one of the recent additions is the introduction of what they call trauma units. So we have trauma units such that the moment that injured soldier is evacuated, he starts to receive medical treatment right on board before getting to a proper medical station. So beyond all this, we also have ground troops of the Nigerian Air Force who are fighting side by side with the Nigerian Army on the ground, and they are what we call special forces. They were trained for that purpose, so they fight on the ground there. Then we also have various airlift missions that the Nigerian Air Force conducts. Sometimes we have maybe either the general officer commanding in one of the divisions over there, or even the chief of army staff and the rest, and they want to conduct operational visits of some of the units in the front. So we use our helicopters or other applicable aircraft to airlift them on these missions. Then sometimes we need to have what we call logistics resupply, maybe the movement of cargo and even troops. So we use our C-130 aircraft to airlift troops to the location. Then within the Sambisa general area and the Northeast as a whole, we have soldiers deployed in various sectors all over the place. There's a need for what we call logistics resupply. So we're talking of ammunition, we're talking of food, we're talking of spares for the various tanks and vehicles. So we use our helicopters to also distribute logistics to all these. So these are just some out of many things that the Air Force is doing in the Northeast.
Wow. So what has been the challenges so far in this counterinsurgency operation in the Northeast?
Well, I wouldn't call them challenges, but I'll call them maybe the things I expected. You know that basically the war that's ongoing on is what is called asymmetric warfare. The implication is that you are fighting an unknown enemy. So more often than not, you do not get to know who the enemy is because the enemy is not in uniform, and so that one is a challenge on its own. And then what else could one call a challenge? One other thing that I can call a challenge is because the Nigerian Air Force is a highly technologically dependent service. So you find that even though the federal government is making available quite a lot of resources available towards ensuring the serviceability of platforms, but the truth is the resources can never be enough. The nature of aviation itself. So, but at the moment we have what we need, but we can always ask, we can always have more. Then I can also add that generally what we do is to project air power, and air power itself has inherent limitations, one of which is weather. So, and there's nothing we can do about that. Weather itself can pose a challenge on many occasions. But one of the things that we have going for us is the recent introduction of the Mi-35M helicopter, which to a large extent is able to overcome the limitation of weather. Maybe not completely, but to a large extent. Then another challenge that was existing was our limitations in terms of night capability. But again, that's been overcome with the recent acquisition of the Mi-35 helicopter as approved by the federal government of Nigeria. So we're able to operate in the day and in the night now.
In the case of the enemy trying to use humans as shield and all, what measures do the Nigerian Air Force apply tactically?
Okay, you should know that the Nigerian Air Force upholds the highest standards of human rights, and the truth is, it will be painful, but then there's nothing one can do about it. We'd rather allow the enemy go down than have innocent women and girls killed. So what we always patiently do is using our ISR platforms, we make sure that we always get them isolated at the time that they least expected. I can say that the use of human shield, that limitation is not really there for us, maybe for the ground troops, but for us it's because they cannot keep the shield with them 24 hours. So, but what we're able to do with our platforms is to identify our targets, select them, and go after them. So when I say targets, basically structures that they could use to become effective. We take them out, and then whenever they are moving alone, we take them out. So basically, that is there, but whenever we see that they are having human shield, of course, we let go and monitor until the right time, and then we strike.
Looking at the huge operation of the Nigerian force, or what you say, it shows that you are doing a lot and all. How has been the support of the federal government so far?
That's one thing I should actually tell you about. The support of the federal government has been tremendous. The past 2 years in particular has seen the Nigerian Air Force move in leaps and bounds in all respects. Like I did mention, to maintain an air force, or to keep an air force in the air requires a lot of resources, and the support the Nigerian Air Force has received in the past 2 years or thereabout has been unprecedented. It has led to a situation where we have quite a number of our platforms already reactivated, aircraft that were completely grounded. As at the last count, we had a total of 13 aircraft that were grounded, already reactivated. And work is ongoing. There are more being reactivated, and the general public will be kept abreast as soon as those ones come up in the air too. So the federal government has been ensuring the timely provision of resources towards ensuring that we get the right spares for our various aircraft. Besides that, training is paramount when it comes to the Nigerian Air Force. Much of the training required to achieve the degree of precision that we require, much of it is not available at home. We have some here, we have some that we need outside, but the federal government has been resolute in ensuring that Air Force personnel are being trained both locally and overseas when necessary. So we have the issue of space, we have the issue of training. Then in addition to this, I also told you that we had certain limitations, especially things like night capability and the rest. So the federal government has been magnanimous enough to approve the acquisition of new platforms for the Nigerian Air Force. We have 2 by Mi-35M helicopters already deployed, and we are expecting 2 more. For trainer aircraft, we have the Super Mushak aircraft. I think about 10 or so were acquired. They are coming in batches. So the federal government has been quite supportive of the Nigerian Air Force, and I can actually say that the credit to the resurgence in our activities goes a long way to the federal government of Nigeria. And I should also mention the National Assembly in this case, because without appropriation by the National Assembly, of course, we wouldn't have the funds. So the National Assembly too has been very understanding of the critical role being played by the Nigerian Air Force and has been giving the needed support. And of course, with a lot of focus on transparency these days, I can also mention the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria is quite involved in many of the remittances being done, especially to companies overseas. Because we're talking of the use of hard currency, if the Central Bank of Nigeria were not cooperative or efficient enough, it could have had a lot of adverse effect on our operations. But the Central Bank of Nigeria too has been quite efficient in ensuring timely remittance of needed funds to our overseas partners. So in all, I'll say the federal government, federal government of Nigeria has been quite supportive, and a lot of credit go to the federal government for whatever the Nigerian Air Force is able to achieve now.
What got my attention is there seems to be more of capacity building under the current chief of air staff. So I want to know what is responsible for this. What motivated this? There seems to be a lot of capacity building of different officers and including pilots.
Okay. You know that what the chief of the air staff, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, considers at every point is that the human being is the most important resource that you can have. And you might have all the equipment, all the aircraft. If you do not have a well-motivated and a well-trained manpower to operate and to maintain the equipment, you're as good as not having the equipment. So the chief of the air staff, upon assumption for office, realized that there was a lot of deficiency in terms of capacity. So he began immediately by putting in a lot of structures in place towards ensuring the training of all categories of personnel. I use the word categories because in the Nigerian Air Force we have what we call specialties. So we have pilots, we have aircraft engineers, we have administrators, we have the medical, we have the air police, and the rest. An interesting thing about the current administration is that the capacity building has actually spread to all concerned. The focus has not just been pilots. Engineers are being trained, pilots are being trained, air policemen are being trained, both locally and overseas, wherever we do not have sufficient capacity at home. A case in point is, maybe for example, I'll look at pilots. You are aware that about 10 pilots were recently winged, having completed their training in South Africa. I can let you know that at the moment we have pilots being trained at our 401 Flying Training School in Kaduna. We have pilots being trained at the 403 Flying Training School in Kano. We have pilots being trained at the Nigerian Air Force owned International Helicopter Flying School in Enugu. We have pilots being trained also in Ilorin at a civilian company. So, having exhausted all these local possibilities, Nigerian Air Force now also took advantage of training opportunities available in America, in the US of A, and also in South Africa. So the point is we are beginning to see it's quite a lot of investment, but we are beginning to reap the investment, reap from the investment. So even though 10 pilots recently winged from South Africa, there are more still undergoing training in South Africa and the rest and other parts of the world, and in Nigeria in particular. So the implication is that you will have enough pilots, enough ground crew to support and carry out necessary functions towards, at the end of the day, ensuring that we have effective and efficient employment of air power as a way of curbing the nation's current internal security challenges. And the focus has not just been on training. The focus has also been on welfare of the personnel. If somebody is well trained and he's not sufficiently motivated, or is not able to live in a conducive environment or work in a conducive environment, it will be a case of penny wise, pound foolish. So the Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Abaka, has also focused a lot of attention at addressing the welfare needs of the personnel in addition to building capacity. And so this has manifested in a lot of focus being paid on accommodation of personnel. And besides, you are aware that we've also had some personnel lost in the course of prosecuting this campaign, as a way of also encouraging those who are alive. The service has also done a lot towards immortalizing all those who have lost their lives, who paid the supreme sacrifice in the course of this campaign, immortalizing them and ensuring that in line with the provisions of the law, their dependents are being well taken care of. And we also have some who have also maybe got injured in the course of the war. Can ensure that medically and in all respects they are being taken care of. So everybody is happy and raring to go.
Also, let me quickly take a shift to the Niger data. I saw a document recently of where you guys were carrying out an operation on some local refineries and all. Can you shed more light on the activities of the Nigerian Air Force in that area?
Okay, like you know, the Nigerian Air Force is a very versatile service, and as we operate in the Northeast, we are able to easily switch and operate in the South-South, in the Southwest, in the Northwest, and every required part in the country. It's part of those parastasis of air power that we are able to employ to the fullest advantage. So the challenge in the South-South has been that of some unpatriotic Nigerians who are focused on stealing the nation's resources. And you find that on many occasions, in the course of conducting our ISR missions, we come across some illegal oil storage facilities, or sometimes we get to see barges that are hidden containing stolen oil products. And so with the aid of our platforms, especially the helicopter gunships, we take out these these illegal facilities. The focus of the Nigerian Air Force at every point is to make the stealing of the nation's resources very futile, dangerous, and therefore unattractive, so that Nigeria as a whole can be better for it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Lastly, what is the Nigerian Air Force advice to the general public?
Okay, the major advice that the Nigerian Air Force would like to give to the general public is to let them know, first, reassure the general public that Nigerian Air Force is focused, is willing, it is able, and it is ready to continue to contribute its quota in liaising with the other sister services towards ensuring the territorial integrity of Nigeria, and to also ensure security for all well-meaning Nigerians to be able to flourish while conducting their businesses, their legal businesses. And what we expect of Nigerians in return is that they encourage us and realize that we are also humans, and that we daily sacrifice, sometimes with losses of life, towards ensuring that Nigerians sleep well. So while many Nigerians are sleeping, many personnel of the Nigerian Air Force remain awake. And all we require of the general public is that they continue to do more of studies towards understanding us the more. And we, on our part, will continue to disseminate information that will engender an understanding of what the Nigerian Air Force does. So in a nutshell, we expect the support of the Nigerian Air Force, of the Nigerian populace, so that we will be further emboldened, and the morale of our troops will remain high in the course of prosecuting our different campaigns.
Okay, thank you, Akombo. It's nice having this chat with you.
Thank you very much, Austin.
Thank you.
You have heard it all from Air Commodore Olatukumbo Adesanya, recounting the role of the Nigerian Air Force on the war against insurgency in the Northeast. That is much we can take on this episode of the program Security Affairs. I am Austin Peacemaker. Have a great week.